The underestimation. The grand chamber of the Galactic Hegemony Council glittered with crystalline chandeliers and polished obsidian floors. 7 alien representatives from the most powerful species in the known universe sat at a circular table, their postures radiating superiority and ancient power. Supreme Chancellor Zorvan, his purple skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, held up a holographic report with 3-fingered hands. "So these are the humans," he said, his voice a melodic series of clicks and whistles, translated by the chamber's advanced systems. The hologram showed a small blue-green planet in an unremarkable spiral arm of a common galaxy. Earth. "They've achieved rudimentary space travel," reported Admiral Zalara, her insectoid mandibles clicking in what passed for amusement among her kind. "Barely made it to their own moon and sent some primitive probes to neighboring planets." The council erupted in chittering laughter. "And yet," said Diplomat Throne, the only one not laughing, "they've developed at an alarming rate, from primitive tools to nuclear technology in less than 10,000 years. No other species has evolved so quickly." Zorvan waved a dismissive hand. "Quick development, perhaps, but look at their history. They spend more time fighting each other than advancing. Primitive tribalism." The central hologram shifted to show human conflicts throughout history, from ancient battles to modern warfare. "They're fractured," agreed General Drax, a massive reptilian whose scales shifted color with his emotions. "Over 200 separate political entities on one small world. They can barely agree on planetary climate initiatives, let alone present a unified front to a galactic power." Diplomat Thrawn's tentacles twisted anxiously. "That's just it. They thrive in conflict. Their greatest technological leaps come during their wars, and their entertainment—" The hologram shifted again, displaying scenes from human films, games, and books featuring humans defeating alien invaders. "They've been mentally preparing to fight a superior alien force for centuries." Admiral Zalara clicked her mandibles dismissively. "Fiction. Fantasy. It means nothing." "I recommend caution," Throne insisted. "At minimum, diplomatic contact before any decisions." Supreme Chancellor Zorvan studied the images of Earth for a moment, then closed his fist, dissolving the hologram. "The expansion directive is clear. The hegemony requires their solar system's position for our new hyperspace junction. Their technological level qualifies them for subjugation rather than extermination, but they must be shown their place in the galactic hierarchy." "We should send the Third Fleet," suggested Admiral Zalara. "A single show of force against their main military installations. Once they see our capabilities, they'll surrender." Zorvan nodded. "Make it so. The human problem will be resolved within a standard cycle. This council has ruled for 20,000 years. These humans are nothing." 3 standard cycles later, the hegemony's Third Fleet emerged from hyperspace near Earth's moon. 20 massive warships, each the size of a human city, positioned themselves in a perfect formation. Their hulls gleamed with an alloy unknown to human science, weapons systems humming with energy that bent light around them. Admiral Zalara stood on the command deck of the flagship, the Eternal Dominion. "Send the standard first contact message. Inform them of our requirements and give them 1 planetary rotation to respond." The message was broadcast in all human languages simultaneously. "Attention, inhabitants of Earth. You exist now within the domain of the Galactic Hegemony. Your world has been selected for incorporation. Surrender your military capabilities and prepare for integration into our society as a protectorate species. Resistance will result in demonstration of force. You have 1 rotation of your planet. To comply." On Earth, governments scrambled. Emergency United Nations sessions were called. Military forces went on high alert. Mass panic erupted in cities worldwide as the message played on every communication device. In an underground facility beneath Geneva, world leaders gathered in emergency session. The room was tense, filled with the most powerful humans on the planet now facing an existential threat. "We can't possibly fight those ships," said the Chinese president, her face grim. "Our most advanced weapons would be useless." "We don't know that," argued the American president. "We've never encountered their technology before." The Secretary General's voice cut through the debate. "They're giving us one day. We need to decide now, fight or surrender." "We should at least try to negotiate," suggested the Indian Prime Minister. "Buy ourselves time." They sent a response. "We request diplomatic discussions and more time to consider your demands." Admiral Zalara received the message with amusement. "Predictable. They seek delay." She turned to her weapons officer. "Target their largest military installation. Show them we don't negotiate with primitives." The Eternal Dominion's main cannon charged, gathering energy from what humans would later learn was a miniature artificial singularity. The beam that shot toward Earth was blinding, a concentrated stream of exotic particles that tore through the atmosphere. The joint Chinese-Russian military base in northern Siberia vanished in an instant, leaving a perfectly circular crater 15 kilometers wide. Over 30,000 human lives ended in a flash. "Send another message," ordered Zalara. They now have half a rotation to comply. In Geneva, the room had fallen silent as satellite. Imagery showed the devastation. "We need to surrender," whispered someone. "They could wipe us out entirely." "No," said Dr. Elena Nazarian, director of the Global Science Initiative. All eyes turned to her. "We need time. I have a plan, but we need them to think we're capitulating while we prepare." "What kind of plan could possibly work against that?" demanded the French president, pointing at the image of the crater. "The kind they won't expect," Elena replied. "The kind that requires every resource we have and complete global unity." After hours of debate, Earth sent its response. "We submit to the galactic hegemony and request terms of surrender." Admiral Zalara smiled with all 4 rows of her teeth. "Excellent. Broadcast the integration protocols. Begin landing preparations." But something strange happened. As the hegemony prepared for formal occupation, Earth went silent. All broadcasts ceased. Satellite networks were deactivated. Even radio transmissions dropped to nearly nothing. Sensors showed humans retreating into their dwellings, their cities growing quiet. "They're in shock," suggested Zalara's second-in-command. "Their civilization is processing its new status." "Perhaps," Zalara said, suddenly uneasy. Something felt wrong. "Increase monitoring. I want to know what they're doing." For 3 Earth months, the hegemony ships maintained position, observing the planet below. Occasional transmissions were intercepted, but nothing significant. Human military forces had withdrawn to bases. Air traffic had decreased by 80%. Even orbital activities had ceased. "They've accepted their fate," Zalara reported to the council. "We can proceed with integration." Only Diplomat Throne looked troubled. "This silence is concerning. It's not consistent with human psychological profiles." "They're broken, General," Drax insisted. "Just as we predicted," Zorvin nodded. "Begin the landing. Establish control centers in their major cities. The Earth problem is resolved." As the hegemony prepared to take formal control of Earth, they failed to notice several critical details. The massive increase in power usage in remote areas, the repurposing of the planet's manufacturing capacity, the subtle changes in Earth's magnetic field, and most importantly, the small, undetectable ships slipping away from Earth, carrying humanity's greatest scientists and engineers to hidden facilities throughout their solar system. The hegemony had made a critical error. They had assumed humanity would either fight immediately or surrender permanently. They never considered a third option, that humans would pretend to surrender while secretly preparing for the greatest technological leap in their history, and the most devastating counterattack the galactic hegemony would ever face. The transformation. 6 months after the hegemony's attack, Earth appeared subdued. Hegemony control towers stood in major cities, their crystalline structures gleaming against the skylines of New York, Beijing, Moscow, and other metropolitan centers. Alien administrators managed human affairs with cold efficiency, and collaborator governments maintained the facade of cooperation. But deep beneath the Olympus Mons on Mars, in a facility carved into the massive volcano, Dr. Elena Nazarian stood before the assembled leaders of humanity's secret resistance. The cavernous chamber housed representatives from every nation, united now not by borders, but by species. Project Phoenix is proceeding ahead of schedule, Elena announced, her voice echoing in the chamber. The hegemony believes we're broken. That misperception is our greatest advantage. Behind her, a holographic display showed hundreds of manufacturing facilities hidden throughout the solar system, inside asteroids, beneath the ice of Europa, in the clouds of Venus, and in vast underground complexes on Earth itself. How did they not detect all this? Asked General Wei, formerly of China's military command. The quantum shroud, Elena replied, gesturing to a small device on a pedestal. Dr. Okafor's team reversed engineered the stealth technology from the radiation signature of their weapons. It bends scanner waves around our facilities. They literally cannot see what we're building. The next display showed something that would have been impossible 7 months earlier, a human ship with technology that matched or exceeded hegemony standards. The Defiance, Elena said with pride. Our prototype. We've resolved the gravitational warping issues. The drive works. And the phase shift weapons system has exceeded our expectations in testing. Admiral Reyes, who had commanded Earth's most advanced aircraft carrier before the invasion, stepped forward. How many can we build, and how quickly? Elena's expression hardened. We've converted 80% of Earth's manufacturing capacity to ship production. The automated factories on Mercury are producing antimatter at rates we never thought possible. If we maintain secrecy for 3 more months, we'll have a fleet of 500 ships. The room erupted in murmurs. 500 won't be enough. Against their armada, someone pointed out. Dr. Jiro Tanaka, head of the weapons division, smiled for the first time in months. Quality over quantity. Their technology has stagnated for millennia. They've had no real challengers. Our ships incorporate not just their tech, but improvements they never imagined. On the hegemony flagship still orbiting Earth, Admiral Zalara received troubling reports. Minor hegemony outposts on the edges of the solar system had gone silent. Patrol ships near Jupiter's moons failed to report in. Probably equipment malfunctions, her officer suggested. The human system's radiation belts are stronger than anticipated. Zalara wasn't convinced. Send a destroyer to investigate. Full combat alert. The destroyer. Unwavering doctrine never returned, nor did the 3 ships sent to find it. Alarmed, Zalara ordered a full system scan, but the results showed nothing unusual. Unknown to her, humanity's quantum shroud now cloaked not just their facilities, but their growing fleet. On Ceres, the largest asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter, the first human battle group prepared for their initial strike. Commander Farah Hassan, once a fighter pilot for the Egyptian Air Force, addressed her crew aboard the Defiance. For 7 months, we've worked in silence. We've watched our home planet under occupation. Today, we show the hegemony that humanity is not defeated. We were just getting started. 5 sleek ships, their hulls a deep matte black that absorbed light, moved into formation. Unlike the ornate hegemony vessels, human ships were streamlined, practical, built for warfare by a species that had perfected the art of conflict for millennia. Their target, the hegemony's central communications relay at the edge of the solar system, the link between Earth and the broader galactic hegemony. The human ships accelerated to speeds that would have been impossible before the invasion, their new drives bending space in ways the hegemony had never perfected. They appeared at the relay station before hegemony sensors could even register their approach. The phase shift weapons fired once. The massive relay station, a construct 50 kilometers across, simply ceased to exist as the fabric of space-time briefly folded around it. Earth was now cut off from the hegemony. The human ships vanished again before the automated distress signals could even process what had happened. On Earth, Zalara received the news with growing horror.
"Impossible," she whispered. "They couldn't have developed such technology so quickly."
She immediately ordered all hegemony forces in the system to full alert and sent an emergency transmission to the Council. But the message never left the solar system. Unknown to her, humanity's plan was already in motion. Small strike teams hit hegemony positions throughout the system in carefully coordinated attacks. Outposts vanished. Patrols disappeared. Always with the same pattern, the human ships would appear without warning, strike with devastating precision, and vanish before a response could be mounted. In the Mars facility, Elena watched the strategic display with grim satisfaction. "Phase 1 complete," she announced to the assembled leaders. "The hegemony is isolated within our system. They can neither receive reinforcements nor warn their council." "What about their ships still in Earth orbit?" asked Admiral Reyes. "They have enough firepower to devastate the surface if they realize what's happening." "That's why we're implementing Phase 2, Elena replied, bringing up a new schematic. Operation Trojan. The plan was audacious. While the hegemony's attention was focused on the attacks in the outer system, specially trained teams would infiltrate their Earth-orbiting vessels using stolen shuttlecraft and quantum shroud technology. Commander Davi Silva, formerly of Brazilian Special Forces, led the infiltration of the Eternal Dominion. His team moved through the massive ship like ghosts, placing specialized devices at key locations. "Packages delivered," he reported quietly from inside the hegemony flagship. "Ready on your command." Across the solar system, similar teams reported. The same status. 20 hegemony ships, all infiltrated simultaneously. In the Mars Command Center, Elena gave the order. "Execute." The devices activated, sending a specialized pulse through the hegemony ship's systems. Designed by humans who had spent months studying captured hegemony technology, the pulse targeted the organic components of their biomechanical systems. All 20 ships went dark simultaneously, their command systems paralyzed. Before the backup systems could engage, human forces swarmed the vessels. The fighting was brief but intense. The hegemony crew, overconfident and unprepared, fell quickly to the human assault teams. By the time Admiral Zalara regained consciousness, she was restrained. In her own command chair, surrounded by human soldiers, Commander Silva stood before her. "How?" she managed to ask, her translator struggling with the damage to the ship's systems. "How did you advance so quickly?" Silva's expression was cold. "You gave us the greatest gift an enemy can provide. You underestimated us, united us, and then gave us time." On view screens across Earth, the image of Dr. Elena Nazarian appeared, broadcasting from Mars. "People of Earth, the occupation is over. The hegemony forces in our system have been neutralized." Cheers erupted in cities worldwide as humans emerged from their homes, looking up at the now silent hegemony towers. "But our work is not finished," Elena continued, her expression grave. "The galactic hegemony still stands, and they will come looking for their missing fleet. We have 3 choices. Wait for their return, flee to distant stars, or take the fight to them." The vote was nearly unanimous across every nation. Humanity would not hide. Humanity would not run. Humanity would fight. In the converted factories of Earth and throughout the solar system, production accelerated. The prototype ships had proven the technology. Now it was time for mass production. Admiral Zalara, now a prisoner, watched in disbelief as the human fleet grew. Not hundreds of ships, but thousands. Not mere copies of hegemony technology, but evolved variants, improved and refined. "You don't understand what you're doing," she warned Commander Silva during an interrogation. "The hegemony has millions of ships, thousands of worlds. You cannot win." Silva studied the alien carefully. Perhaps not. But we're not aiming to win through numbers. We'll win through something your kind has forgotten after 20,000 years of unchallenged rule. Innovation. He showed her the plans for the next phase, and for the first time in her long life, Admiral Zalara felt fear. The humans weren't just building a fleet. They were building a fleet designed specifically to exploit every weakness in hegemony technology, tactics, and strategy. A fleet built by a species that had perfected warfare by fighting itself for millennia and had now found an external enemy to unite against. As the Earth year drew to a close, humanity was ready. The largest gathering of ships in human history, 5,000 vessels ranging from small, agile fighters to massive dreadnoughts, assembled in formation beyond Mars. Admiral Reyes addressed the combined fleet from the bridge of the humanity's will, Earth's first super dreadnought. Today we take the fight to the enemy. Our mission is clear. We strike at the heart of the galactic hegemony. We demonstrate our power, and we secure our place among the stars, not as subjects, but as equals. For Earth. The cry echoed across every ship in the fleet. For Earth! In a blinding flash of energy that momentarily outshone the sun, the human fleet vanished into hyperspace, bound for Hegemony Prime, and a confrontation that would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy, the Reckoning. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Hegemony Council was in session when the alarms began. Supreme Chancellor Zorvan paused mid-decree, his bioluminescent patterns flashing in confusion. "What is the meaning of this interruption?" he demanded. A junior officer burst into the chamber, breaking thousands of years of protocol. "Forgive me, Excellency, but we're detecting massive hyperspace signatures approaching Hegemony Prime. Thousands of ships, configuration unknown." General Drax rose to his full height. "Impossible. No species possesses a fleet of that size except the Hegemony." Diplomat Throne's tentacles coiled tightly. "The humans. It must be. We've received no communication from Earth in nearly a full cycle." "Absurd," scoffed Admiral Tyra, who had replaced Zalara when she failed to report. "Those primitives couldn't possibly—" The chamber shook as the first wave of human ships exited hyperspace directly above the hegemony capital. The defensive grid, designed to prevent ships from jumping so close to the planet, had failed completely, against the modified human drives. On the bridge of humanity's will, Admiral Reyes watched the hegemony capital world fill the viewscreen. The massive planet glittered with the lights of a civilization that had ruled unchallenged for 20 millennia. "All ships maintain position," she ordered. "Activate the quantum shroud." 5,000 human vessels, arranged in perfect formation, above the most heavily defended planet in the galaxy, vanished from hegemony sensors. "Now we wait," Reyes said quietly. On the planet below, panic spread quickly. The ships had appeared, demonstrated they could bypass all defenses, and then vanished. The hegemony home fleet, 10,000 warships maintained in constant readiness, scrambled to defensive positions, but their sensors showed nothing. In the council chamber, Supreme Chancellor Zorvan struggled to maintain order. "Deploy all forces. Find those ships." General Drax's scales had shifted to an anxious yellow. "The ships are no longer registering on our sensors, Chancellor. We don't know where to deploy." "Everywhere! Deploy everywhere!" As the hegemony fleet arranged itself in a defensive sphere, around the planet, human sensors cataloged their every movement, identifying weaknesses in their formation, analyzing their command patterns. Aboard humanity's will, Dr. Elena Nazarian joined Admiral Reyes on the bridge. "Their technology hasn't changed in centuries," she observed. "They've had no reason to innovate." Reyes nodded. "Send the message." On every communication device across Hegemony Prime, a single human face appeared, Commander Silva, who had led the capture of the Eternal Dominion. "Attention, Galactic Hegemony. I speak for Earth and all humanity. 7 of your cycles ago, you came to our world. You killed 30,000 of our people as a demonstration. You occupied our planet thinking us defeated. Silva's expression hardened. Today, we demonstrate our response. At that moment, 5,000 human ships reappeared, surrounding the hegemony fleet. Before the alien vessels could react, phase-shift weapons fired in perfect synchronization. 100 hegemony warships simply ceased to exist. Then the human fleet vanished again. Panic erupted among the hegemony forces. Their most powerful weapons fired blindly into space. Their communication channels filled with confused orders and desperate pleas for instruction. The human fleet reappeared in a new formation, struck again with surgical precision, and vanished once more. Another 100 hegemony ships lost. This pattern repeated, again and again. The human fleet never stayed visible long enough for the hegemony to lock weapons. Their strikes were precise, devastating, and seemingly unstoppable. In the council chamber, Supreme Chancellor Zorvan watched, in horror as the strategic display showed more and more of his fleet vanishing. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They were primitives. They had barely achieved space flight." Diplomat Throne's voice was quiet. "We gave them the greatest gift possible. We united them against a common enemy, showed them advanced technology, and then left them alone to study it. Everything in their history shows they advance fastest when threatened." On the main hegemony communication channel, Commander Silva appeared again. "Your fleet is being systematically neutralized. We could do the same to your planet. We have the capability to reduce your civilization to dust, just as you threatened ours. The choice of what happens next belongs to humanity now." In orbit above Hegemony Prime, the human fleet revealed itself one final time. The quantum shroud dropped, showing the true extent of Earth's armada. 5,000 ships arranged in an attack formation that could deliver a killing blow to the planet below. The remaining hegemony vessels, now reduced to less than half their original number, maintained position but did not fire. They recognized the hopelessness of their situation. Aboard humanity's will, a communication came through. Supreme Chancellor Zorvan himself requesting to speak with the human leadership. Admiral Reyes accepted the transmission. The alien leader's image appeared on the main screen. His bioluminescent patterns, subdued in what humans had learned, was a sign of submission. "We request terms," Zorvan said simply. Reyes glanced at Elena, then back to the alien. "Unconditional. Surrender of all hegemony forces. The Council will disband. All occupied worlds will be freed." "And then?" Zorvan asked, genuine fear in his voice. "Will you destroy our worlds as we threatened yours?" Reyes stood from her command chair. "That was our original plan. An eye for an eye. A world for a world." The bridge fell silent. "But we've decided on a different path. One that your hegemony, in its arrogance, never considered." Her voice carried across the channel to every hegemony world now watching the transmission. "We choose to be better than those who attacked us. We will not destroy your civilization. We will transform it." The terms were transmitted throughout the hegemony. The 20,000-year-old empire would be reformed into a true galactic alliance. All species would have equal representation. No single power would dominate. Military forces would be limited and jointly controlled. "And Earth?" asked Zorvan. "We will take our place among the stars," Reyes replied. "Not as conquerors, but as equals. We bring something your stagnant empire has lacked for millennia: innovation, adaptability, and a fresh perspective. The Council had no choice but to accept. The human fleet could have destroyed their capital world with a single command. As the formal surrender was arranged, Commander Silva approached Admiral Zalara, who had been brought from Earth as a prisoner. "Your people misjudged us," he said. "You saw our divisions and conflicts as weakness. You never understood that they were our strength. They drove us to constantly improve, adapt, and overcome. Zalara studied the human carefully. What happens to me and my crew? You return to your people. You tell them what you've seen, how humanity could have destroyed you, but chose another way. That is a far more powerful message than violence could ever be. 1 Earth year after the surrender, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered in a newly constructed galactic assembly on neutral territory. The former hegemony species sat alongside races they had once subjugated, all with equal voice and equal vote. Dr. Elena Nazarian, now serving as Earth's first galactic representative, addressed the historic gathering. A year ago, we faced annihilation at the hands of an empire that saw us as irrelevant. Today, we help lead a new galactic community built on mutual respect and cooperation. She gestured to the stars visible through the assembly's transparent dome. Humanity brought something unique to this galaxy, a perspective shaped by our struggles, our diversity, our endless drive to improve. We transformed a potential apocalypse into an opportunity for all species to rise together. In the space above, Earth ships patrolled alongside vessels from 100 worlds. Their weapons were silent, their mission now one of protection rather than destruction. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not as conquerors, not as victims, but as architects of a new order, one that honored the strength of unity while celebrating the power of diversity. The universe would never be the same again, and neither would humanity. As Earth's first deep space colony ships departed for distant stars, they carried with them not just the hopes of humanity, but the lessons learned from their greatest challenge, that true power comes not from domination, but from transformation of technology, of societies, and most importantly, of oneself. The galactic hegemony had laughed at humanity. That laughter had stopped forever. But in its place came something far more valuable: respect.